the new album is called Visitor. Came out about 3 weeks ago, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
3 weeks today, right? Or tomorrow?
Well,
Tomorrow?
it is today here. It's Friday already.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
3 weeks today.
Then yes.
Anyway, so did you guys, what was it like releasing this record? Did you guys do anything exciting?
I
party,
had COVID
gig?
the day.
Oh, there you go.
COVID, so.
There's a way to celebrate.
Yeah. Building your immunity is a form of celebration. So I see that.
Yeah.
Very rock and roll, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
For sure.
But you have been doing some gigs, haven't you? Because I think I saw you played in Connecticut or something recently. Is that right?
Yeah, on last Saturday, we played in Connecticut.
What's it like out there doing gigs and being amongst it?
I mean, I guess it's different, like every month in a way that you play a show. It's like, and where you play it. But for the most part, I feel like it's good. You know, like people are coming to shows and stuff. So. Yep.
Yeah. It's very quiet here. We don't have the COVID quite as badly but everybody's afraid to go and do anything, so they're just kind of laying low. It's just kind of odd.
Yeah, I feel like because everyone got like this, like strand of it, that now everyone's like, oh yeah, I guess we can start doing things again. Like there was like a lot of people at that show in Connecticut, but
cool.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I guess it just changes on the regular.
Yep. Well, let's talk about making the record. So this record, you actually had from what I've read, it's the first time you've used an outside producer and done a thing in a real studio. Your producer was Jake, who is a member of Unknown Mortal Orchestra, who have some Kiwi connections. So how did you guys hook up with him, and why did you work with him?
I've actually been thinking that it's interesting that is kind of the narrative on the record, because it's not actually true. We did.
Okay, lay it on us.
We've been in the studio. We recorded Liberating Guilt and Fear in a studio with a real producer, with Joe Rogers. Credit to him. He's a producer.
There you go.
I guess
he has a nice studio too.
Yeah. Or does he? I don't know if
I don't know. It's not a thing anymore, but
maybe it's not a thing anymore. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
fairness,
see, you can't trust anything you read these days.
The first. But I mean, that was still like kind of like a DIY mindset. Like, we didn't really pay. We didn't pay him or anything.
Right.
It's not exactly the same.
So working. How did you come to work with Jake then?
He was someone the label suggested, I think.
Yeah,
because he wanted to produce. He like maybe reach out to them or something. Like he wanted to work with us, so we met with him.
And
because I think he has a tie with Fat Possum, or some
they
of the early unknown
stuff. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
that's what I think. Yeah,
yep, that makes sense. And so, what kind of conversations did you have with him to make it feel like it was going to work?
We met with him in New York in January 2020, just one time,
like right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yeah.
We just went to his studio and we kind of talked about music we liked and just hung out for a couple hours and got a feel for each other.
Yeah, and I feel like he was like, I feel like at that time, like the stuff we were listening to, which like Catherine was like really into like David Bowie, and we were like talking about like XTC and stuff, and like I feel like he was like, oh yeah, like I know how to get those sounds, and we're like, oh, you do, So I feel like we were like, okay.
And then we were like listening to like some of those artists like on his like system.
Right.
Yeah, he kept playing
sick
songs. Yeah, it's like. Oh, good.
Yeah. I forgot. Yeah. And he had like a bunch of like cool like synthesizers and stuff and like all that. And we're like, oh yeah, this is nice. And it's like a really nice like studio in like was it Greenpoint? And it had like huge windows. And we're like, it was
like a second floor of this building. It was kind of unusual.
Yeah, it was so nice. We're like, oh, crazy.
That's nice. Well, there you go. And at this point, did you already have the songs written for the album, or was that part of the process of working with him?
I don't think we really did. We might have had one or two kind of things at that point, but I feel like mostly no. Like, but I'm trying to even remember.
Well, because we were going to like partially record it at his studio and then partially record and like in upstate New York at like a cabin that we rented for a month. So we were gonna like finish writing the songs and then like record some of it and then go down to New York City and finish there, right?
Yeah, we had this idea like originally where we were just gonna record in a house and he was gonna like come in and kind of like oversee it and then mix it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. We had like a lot of ideas of what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
I guess. But
so what was how did you guys work with him when you were actually in the studio? I mean, who's doing what? Was he kind of overseeing things, or was he just kind of advising? Was he doing more technical stuff? How did it work?
He was like engineering it. Like he was alone in the studio.
Right.
So he was running, everything. And we were separated by like the soundproof glass, and we were just because it was like the middle of the pandemic and his wife had just had a baby.
Okay.
He didn't really want to be like too much in the same room.
Sure.
So we were like pretty much fully separated for the 5 days that we were there. And we would talk through the talkback mic or just like yell through the soundproof wall or just like or just have to have masks on and talk and open the window or something.
Yep.
So we didn't also even really listen back to any tracks. We kind of just like we just kept tracking things and we just be like, okay, next take. And we didn't like really listen to anything until he gave us a first mix.
Right. Now
much later.
Since the album has been out a little while, there's been some reviews written, and the general consensus seems to be you have a more refined sound now. Is that accurate? And was that what you were going for?
In some ways, I guess, like maybe wanting to like showcase the songwriting a little bit better. Or like, I don't know. I think maybe wanting to find a place where the sound could be like our sound, but you could tell what everyone was playing. It wasn't like all muddled together type of thing.
Yeah. I also feel like just like, like playing together more and more, like I feel like we just like been figuring out the sound like in that regard as well, and then also being in like having like it be in someone else's hands more of how it would sound. Like I feel like Jake's like main like thing was like he basically like I feel like just had a lot of like I feel like his ideas were like tempo stuff, and then was like oh, like we're just like, do you like how all this stuff sounds, like how like everything sounds really analog? Like I feel like he had like a heavy hand in like the way things sounded, which like usually when it's just like us four or like with Sean, us five, who like Sean's like recorded and like done everything with us, it's like it's usually like we're like, oh, we'll make this stuff like blown out, or like it'll be like huge sounding but it'll be like way noisier. But I feel like with like Jake producing it, we're like, oh yeah, like I feel like we all just like trusted him in like the vision of like this, like what he thought that it should sound like. And I feel like it was crazy because there really wasn't that many like we didn't really change all that much stuff. Like I feel like usually like it's just like, oh, like will you make the drums louder, or like the vocals are too loud? But like I feel like there wasn't really that much back and forth. Like I feel like from the like early mixes of the stuff that we were doing, we're like, wow, like this sounds great,
Right. Oh, that's nice.
I mean, maybe this off the record, we hated the first mix. Remember that?
Okay.
You remember that? We were like, what the fuck?
Oh, yes.
But wait, didn't he say that it like didn't he send it and like we thought it was in the mix, but it wasn't?
Yeah, yes, but it wasn't.
But he didn't like communicate that.
Yeah,
maybe don't put that in.
It
was confusing.
Yeah, it was like all unmixed stuff, and we're like, oh fuck, we're like you have to like re-record to someone else. Yeah.
No, he was sending it to be like to make sure we liked our performances.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Not be like, here's a mix pass, but it was not clear.
Yeah, I remember us being like, oh, we are fucked. But then when like it did start getting mixed, we're like, oh, okay, this is cool. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's funny. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
when you capitalize rough mix.
Yeah.
We're like,
I don't know if
Very
there's
cool.
bouncing back from this.
Very good. So one track I wanted to kind of, because I'm not sure how the songwriting works. So when we go through a couple of tracks, maybe you can tell me who does what or whatever. House in the Universe almost has kind of dare I say, a rockabilly kind of the band X kind of feel to it. I don't know if that's anything that you guys are familiar with or looking at, but what can you tell me about the song, the sound?
I feel like from like my perspective, I just like the Ramones are one of my favorite bands. So I just was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do like a very straightforward Ramones drum beat.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel like it was like when I was writing it, it was kind of like it's all like open chords and it's like it was like kind of fast. And I was like, and it was just kind of like more of a classic kind of pop, you know, just really major chord and like structure, kind of classic pop thing.
Right.
But I was like, I don't know, I really like it. I like the lyrics that I had written and like I thought it was catchy. And then it was kind of a matter of how do we like execute it as a band so it doesn't feel just like a weird pop punk song or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like when we were playing it together, it's like keeping like having a lot of restraint on it, which I think was successful with like the drums just kind of being all closed hi-hat or like floor tom stuff. Right. And the choruses didn't become like huge like epic moments, like they kind of was kept like restrained. And it made me think of like Yo La Tengo or something where they had those fast like pop songs, but they're like really quiet but fast.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of feeling inspired by that.
Cool. I noticed on that track and some other ones, you kind of at the end of the tunes, you kind of go into these codas, like with kind of strange endings that kind of take you by surprise. Is that part of what you planned out, or was that worked out with your producer, or how do those things happen?
They're kind of added at the end, like all the samples and stuff that we like collected over the months, or any kind of like found sound stuff or field recording stuff. We'll kind of just like pick our favorites and figure out where they fit in. And like what makes sense with, I don't know. Right.
Just
the feeling of it.
You seem to have a visual sense as well with your videos. And I think Holly Ballard is somebody that you work with. Is that how,
Hallie.
That's how it's pronounced? So take, for instance, Diamond Eyelids, which has the puppets and stuff. How did that come about?
Did you bring up puppets first? Or you were
like, remember.
Cool to do like a puppet video? Somebody said that.
Yeah, maybe it was me. I don't even remember. I feel like
I
started
we've always talked about like wanting dolls, and then maybe evolved to like
somebody
like a
was
puppet
like,
thing.
because I remember being like, we cool to have puppets, and I'd be like, just so you know, how I can do that.
Yeah, because remember like Ray's mom used to make dolls, and I was like, oh, we should have a video where like she makes all of us as dolls, and it's just like weird. And then I feel like it just turned into puppets.
And where are the puppets now?
They're at Hallie's studio.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never even seen mine in person.
We gotta do more stuff.
Do more stuff. I want to play with it.
I know.
Yeah, we should do something. A tea party with ourselves.
That'll be the next video. Well, there's also a video for Passing Stranger that you guys are actually in. So what was the process there? Was that working with Holly as well?
Yeah, Hallie shot it, and then I edited it.
Oh.
But yeah, it was just something we had like a kind of a small time frame, and we didn't have any videos with our actual faces in it. So we were like, we can just do something really quick together. We did it here in my apartment, me and Hallie's apartment.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of brought some cool stuff into the mise en scène.
Looks like a lot of vintage things laying around. Is that?
Yeah, just gathered all the telephones and
the telephones,
cameras that we had, and I was like, it'd be cool just to have it be like candles and cool lighting, and it could be like simple. It doesn't have to be like high concept. I just, I always think it's nice if there's just like an interesting visual accompaniment with the song. It doesn't have to like be a narrative or something.
And sound-wise, it seems to have kind of a psychedelic kind of vibe to it, or what on there?
That tends to happen on accident.
Yeah.
By accident, or
yeah, I've never tried to be necessarily psychedelic, but I don't know if any of us are. But
on a track like that, are you playing together live in the studio when you're recording that, or are you kind of layering things?
It's tracked live, but then we replace some, we keep the drums and we may replace certain things depending.
Yeah. Like all the
songs, at least you and me live.
Yeah. Like all the songs are like, we rehearsed it tons of times. Like most of the parts existed except for maybe a few, right? Yeah. Except for maybe some of like Randall's keyboard stuff. But I feel like we
could play all the songs live. Like we practiced them all. It wasn't created in this.
Yeah, I feel like most of the things were created just like in our practice space in Philly, like because like our three parts are all basically more or less the same from right when we started, minus maybe like your vocal stuff is maybe a little different, but I feel like Randall's part was like parts were like the things that I feel like were like really overdubbed like afterwards. Like
he comes with ideas like on the fly, and then he will change it live. Like he just.
So Randall's kind of the newest guy in the band, right?
Newest, but he's been in the band for probably like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, because it started as just us three, but yeah, like because a whole other aspect of recording this was like we only had a week in Jake's studio, so then the following months we just like. Randall like made a home studio where we just sent Jake like hundreds of different like Dropbox files,
right?
And like some of the stuff he used and some of the stuff he didn't use, and that was like kind of a fun thing too to figure out like the things that he picked that he was like, oh, I really like this in the song, or it was like, no, I don't like this. So that was like a cool like aspect of making the record as well.
All right. There's also a song called Elvis Comeback Special, which doesn't seem to have anything to do with Elvis or his comeback special. So I got to ask about that. What's going on there?
Well, the name came second.
Okay.
It's kind of, I feel like I have a hard time naming things. I don't like naming things. And so then Randall, like one time I was over at his house and he was like showing me all these old Elvis videos, and he showed me the comeback special, and I just really like the name.
And what'd you think of the special? What'd you think of Elvis at that point?
Well, he was, I don't know, he was kind of showing me in like from a perspective of like, wow, he's really talented, but this is like kind of him in his like physical decline.
Right.
And it's really interesting, which resulted in really interesting performances.
Well, he was looking pretty good in the comeback special. It was
the comeback special, he looks good. And then the
then he got to be the fat Elvis later.
Yeah, then sadly. It's like I can't remember the name of the song.
Because the comeback special was what, late 60s or when was it? Like
it was like 67, 68, I think, somewhere in there. So that was when he kind of stopped making all his crappy movies and decided to get into live performance again. And then he did the live from Hawaii thing was later. That was when he was getting a little bit bigger, and because he couldn't tour outside of the U.S. because the Colonel was afraid. Colonel was an illegal alien. Was afraid if he left the country he wouldn't be able to get back in. But Elvis never knew that. So it's kind of. But anyway, I digress. So what about the song that obviously has nothing to do with Elvis? What can you tell me about performing, writing it, making the video, whatever?
I feel like it was like the last song. It was like we had a hard time picking like all the singles because Fat Possum was like, oh yeah, you should pick these, and we were torn between Elvis and then 80s. And
oh yeah,
I feel like we sent it to like a bunch of our pals, and they were like, oh yeah, y'all should pick. I mean, I guess it was kind of tied, but I feel like more people voted for Elvis, and I feel like that's like the song that we learned how to play like I feel like we just started playing live recently, so it's been like kind of fun. It's like I feel like that song is cool because it has a lot of like weird syncopated parts that even though we wrote it like a year ago, I still sometimes forget all the parts that we like lock up.
Yeah.
Because it could be played really straightforward and really easy, but instead it's like all these like accented parts that are like kind of confusing. But yeah, I think that song is great. Also, it's fun to just learn songs that you don't typically play live, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. And speaking of live, you guys were touring with Modest Mouse recently, is that right?
Yeah, in October.
So how did that go? You're playing with somebody in front of somebody else's audience.
I think it went well. I feel like a lot of people, I mean, maybe if only 10% of the people like watched us and liked us, that's like still a lot of people.
Yeah, there you go.
So
yeah,
I feel like we definitely gained some fans, I think.
Definitely,
they were great to tour
truly.
with.
Yeah, they were great.
Cool.
Yeah, and I feel like all their fans were cool too. I feel like Modest Mouse has become like a legacy band in a sense. So like it was cool because like a lot of like families would come, and then I feel like a lot of like a lot of like the younger folk, like the like the kids of the parents that were there were like, I feel like they were really into us.
All the Gen X parents bringing their kids to see
Modest. So they're turning into like the Fleetwood Mac and Eagles of the 21st century, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's like a lot of father-daughter
really
duos.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, my daughter like plays guitar and she loved your band.
Yeah.
And it was really sweet.
Yeah, it was really
I feel
sweet.
like it was bringing families together.
Yeah. It was like, it was really cute. Like that one dad who like his like daughter really liked our band and like was like he bought like a t-shirt for her, and then he like only had $100 bill, and he was like just keep it. The t-shirt was like $30. He's like, just keep it. He's like, if it makes my daughter happy, it makes me happy. And we were just like, oh my God. We're like, you are the nicest dad. We're like, oh. Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of like father daughter moments on that tour. Yeah, it was great.
I think I scarred my daughter for life when I took her to her first concert. She was 14, and we saw Hole with Courtney Love.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
That's
and
so
it was
cool.
right after Kurt had passed, and she had a big meltdown on stage, and I was like,
oh my God.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's one for the history books.
Yeah, that is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, anyway, she's doing well. She's now 42, so she's made it through that.
Nice.
Wow.
Anyway.
She lived through this,
incredible.
some might say.
I'm sure it made an impression. And you mentioned the song 80s, and there's a line in there, you look like your mom in the 80s. I couldn't tell if that was a compliment or a diss.
Yeah. It's neither. It's just, you ever look at old photographs of your mom in the 80s and you're like, oh, you look just like her.
Is that line about Garrett?
No, wait, what? Do you look like his mom in the 80s? Just a general thing.
That is
No,
I
I
thought
feel
that
like,
line was about Garrett.
really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I guess
No,
I
it's
didn't
just
really.
about everybody. But it's it's about the passage of time and,
Yeah.
passing down the inheriting certain things or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
All righty. So are you guys
What
thinking
else?
about next record, or are you just kind of dealing with this at the moment? Where are you guys at mentally and creatively?
I'm thinking about the next record for sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm like
I've been
ready
thinking a
to
lot
just
about
write
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Catherine and I have just been like brainstorming ideas of stuff. We're like 5 songs, 5 ambient tracks. What do you think? Like, we're just and then we've been like talking about like the last 2 like talk records. We were like, fuck it. Let's make the next one be a post-rock album. Just
There you
kidding,
go.
But,
Why not? Keep them on their
I don't-
toes.
I don't mean that, but no, I'm ready to write new tunes for sure. Cause like we wrote this record like how long ago now? Like 2 years ago? Or
Years.
yeah.
More than 2.
Damn. Yeah. Right? More than 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So I'm just like, yeah, can't wait. I love writing songs.
Excellent. Well, we love it that you do love writing songs. We didn't have anything to listen to, so
Yeah.
very good. Well, thanks a lot for talking to me. I really appreciate it. It's been fantastic.
yeah.
Come down here if you get a chance. You know,
We
you
would
know
love to.
would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're just kind of
It's
opening up
nice.
the borders now, so should be easier now. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Fingers crossed for sure.
Yep. All righty. Well, have a great day, guys. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so
Philadelphia.
much.
Have a good one.
All right. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow.